Jessii Vee, and today my shirt says Hello Queen because let's face it, that's what I am. So today's video we are talking about cereal, which might seem like a weird topic, but trust me, it's scary. For years and years, cereal used to put little prizes into their boxes for kids. And as cool as some of these prizes were, there were also ones that were very scary, very dangerous, and really just shouldn't have been in there. So we're gonna be talking about those creepy cereal prizes and also just creepy cereals in general. There's actually more disturbing things that have to do with cereal than you think. Cereal box toys became a staple of breakfast dating back as far as the 1940s. Apparently, the first cereal brand to ever put a prize into their box was from the brand Kellogg's. They tried to entice kids to eat cornflakes with the offer of a free book. This book was called the Funny Jungle Land Moving Pictures Book, and this was put in boxes in the early 1900s. And people were astonished by this because they had never bought food with something else in it. I mean, when I was a kid, I was so shocked that you can get DVDs in your cereal, you could get computer games in your cereal. I mean, those were the good days. You could get your favorite movie for the price of cornflakes. I mean, I remember one day I got this computer game in my cereal called Freddy the Fish, I believe. It was a game I was obsessed with and played every day after school, and it was actually a really creepy game now that I think back to it. But what's really sad about all of this is that nowadays it's actually illegal to put any prizes into a cereal box. So my viewers that are very young, you've probably never experienced a prize in your cereal. The reason why they had to stop doing this was mostly because of lawsuits. These prizes were dangerous, they had to be recalled, kids were injured. We're gonna get into all of this. So let's start with the alleged lawsuits. I always like to say that everything I'm talking about are facts I found online and have not been confirmed to me by any of these brands. I have not spoken with them. I'm just relaying what I found on the internet. I don't want to get in trouble by cereal brands. So one of the causes for many lawsuits was pieces of the prize or toy falling apart into people's cereal and then they eat them. A lot of the toys that were given had tiny little parts that would fall off. For example, in the year 2000, they had to recall 800,000 little toy cars. The reason why is because the wheels of the car were falling off into kids' cereal and they were consuming them. So obviously that is a choking hazard for anybody eating cereal. In 1988, there was a massive recall for 30 million flutes and binoculars because apparently they too were also deemed as a choking hazard. And then in 2004, there was a wristwatch-shaped Spidey Signal toy that used a mercury power battery that had the chance of leaking into your cereal. So basically, people had poisonous Spider-Man in their cereal boxes. And then another reason why they can no longer put prizes into cereal is just because of the cost. It's really expensive for people to put a toy and a cereal in the same box. So let's talk about some scary things that have been found in cereal boxes. First, we have metal fragments that were found in Wheaties cereal. They are microscopic and are meant to make the breakfast cereal more nutritious because by adding these metal fragments to the cereal, it automatically will have more iron. What is really disturbing to me is that the cereal can actually be picked up by magnets. You can find pictures of people doing this. You can go and search on YouTube and find videos of people picking up Wheaties with magnets. I mean, do you really want your children eating breakfast cereal that can be picked up by magnets? And like, this was all legal, you know, it passed all the health requirement tests. I mean, how is that allowed? Next, we have slap bracelets. I have mentioned this whole controversy in another video before, but basically they were putting slap bracelets into cereal boxes, and when they had the plastic ones, it was totally fine to use. But once they started to make cheap metal slap bracelets, the sides of the metal started to get very sharp, and kids were actually hurting hurting themselves when they were slapping the bracelet onto their arm. So a ton of those were recalled and a ton were actually banned from being used in schools. The next thing is the iron-on patches, and these were sold in the honeycomb cereal packs. Obviously, companies didn't really think this through because I feel like a child should not be handling a hot iron, and there were a lot of cases where kids were getting injured trying to iron these patches onto their clothing. Next, we have the Kinder Surprise eggs. What's crazy is that these Kinder Surprise eggs was such a big part of my childhood. I remember like getting one every single Friday as a treat after school, and they just made people so happy, so it's hard to imagine something so great being so dangerous. Apparently 3 UK children died after choking on the toys inside of the Kinder egg, and these are actually completely illegal in the United States. What's crazy to me is that it says 2 Seattle men attempted to smuggle these Kinder eggs across the border, and they were fined $2,500 per egg, and apparently they had 6 of them, so that is a lot of money for a thing of chocolate. I kind of want to do a video on the dangerous toys that were inside the Kinder eggs, but that would be a whole other thing. But whenever they were put in cereal boxes, obviously the choking hazard was there. The next dangerous toy in cereal boxes were popper toys. I also remember these. These eye poppers seem harmless, but a total of 36 children actually suffered major eye injuries. I remember these eye poppers really used to scare me because it would be so suspenseful. You would have to push it down onto a table and wait for it to suddenly pop, and I can see how that would like hit kids' faces and stuff. That's terrible. Then there was the Apple Jacks Ghost Detector. I can't believe they actually put a paranormal item into cereal back then. That's so cool. This prize came out in cereal in 1989. It says, according to the box, if the ghost detector moved around on your hand, it meant there were ghosts in your room. And a lot of kids were getting spooked by this because, I mean, it was a tiny little piece of paper. Of course it's gonna move. You have vents in your room, you might have windows open, so a ton of kids were really scared by this. So let's now talk about weird cereal boxes. This first one was called Mr. Muscle, and if you turn over the box, you can see a heart monitor reading on the back. Basically, before you eat Mr. Muscle, you have a normal heart rate, and once you eat it, your heart is like heart attack rate. The way this was being advertised is to give you like a ton of energy in the morning after you eat it, but it sounds kind of suspicious to me. This next cereal box is called Grins and Smiles and Giggles and Laughs. What a weird name. So this box design really disturbed people because it's so confusing. If you look at the front of the box, they have created some horrifyingly disfigured machine. It has an ear by its mouth and a bone sticking out of his head. If you look at its face, it obviously looks like it's in pain, and yet the people around it are laughing at its misery. What a weird description and illustration for a box. Next is Crispy Critters. It's a cereal box that had a 2-headed llama as its mascot, and the cereal inside of it was actually a 2-headed llama, which was so crazy back then. I feel like instead of Crispy Critters, it should have been like Creepy Critters. Then there was a box called Freakies. This came out in 1973, and the Freakies were types of weird creature monster things, and they had very strange names. For example, there was Snorkeldorf, Cow Mumble, Ham Hose, Boss Moss, Goody Goody, Gargle, and Grumble, and each had its own distinct personality. They had commercials that went out between 1974 and 1975, and I can't find them anywhere, but apparently they were very, very bizarre commercials. These last 2 things are just weird facts about cereal in general. Apparently there was a 4th brother in the Snap, Crackle, and Pop trio. Isn't that crazy? Like, I always thought Rice Krispies only had the 3 brothers, but there was a 4th. What happened to him? It says the Rice Krispies clan actually had a 4th elf named Pow. At one point, the brother made a brief appearance on the boxes in 1950, but then for some reason disappeared after that, and he was never seen again. I don't know if maybe they thought 4 mascots was too much. I don't know if he got like a bad rep. I don't really know what happened to the 4th brother, but he is no longer anywhere. And lastly, there was a very scary commercial that I think had to be banned and pulled off the air because kids were like crying about it. It was for Post cereal, and I have no idea why they thought this commercial would be kid friendly because it's literally a clown. But it was so disturbing, parents were complaining about it, so they eventually got rid of it. But oh my goodness, what a horrible marketing idea. Anyway, so guys, those are all of the weird and creepy things about cereal that we're gonna be talking about today. If you have any cool facts that I missed, definitely comment them down below. And if you want me to continue this series about nostalgia and things that we used to have and do as kids, let me know. Give this video a thumbs up, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!